Hey gang, I just wanted to do a quick demo on HandBrake because it's a great software that you can use to do transcoding. And by transcoding, I mean basically changing formats, changing frame rate, trimming, changing bit rates. For example, if you need to have a lower bit rate, you can downsample. But basically, you would find it at this either of these websites. We'll just go to the top one and select it here. And now this will be the screen you'll come to, and you'll want to find the HandBrake version for your platform. Obviously, for Mac OS, you'd choose that version, but here I have the Windows version. I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to bother downloading it again. So this is what it looks like when it's on your desktop. So we'll launch it now, double-clicking it. And as I was saying, this is just a great utility. It's bare bones. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it does the job it needs to do. So here I've got a recording about a DaVinci Resolve. So I'm going to click and drag that in there. And now we can see that video is about 87 megs right now. And what I want to do is I want to transcode it to make it a bit smaller. And what you'll see is that I've added it into this viewer here, and eventually I could add it to a queue, or I can just straight start encoding. Now there's presets on the right hand side. If you want to just choose one of those, that's fine. It'll set up the settings the way you need it, but I'll just walk through really quickly. Here we can see what format, if we want to go between MKV and MP4. I don't normally change any of these defaults. It's going to use a H.264 encoder. For the audio, it's the AAC codec. And let's see, dimensions, it is 1920 by 1080. If I wanted to make it smaller, I could just, or actually it's not fully 1080, but that might be due to my recording software. But anyways, the source is 1920 by 1080. We're just going to leave that as is. No filters. Codec here, we could change it, but I'm going to leave it because I like H.264. That's a good way to get low file sizes with good quality video compression. And the frames per second here, it was recorded at 60 because I do my OBS records at 60 frames a second, but I want to output it at 30. And the quality, now this is where you can slide if you need to figure out, let's see what it says here. Set the desired quality factor. The encoder targets a certain quality. The scale used by each video encoder is different. Essentially, I can compress it more and it'll get lower quality, or boosting up the quality, it will just stay closer to the original. The optimized video, I don't usually change any options here. If you need, you can try some of these presets, but I'm going to leave it. Audio is fine. I'm just going to leave the bitrate as is. I probably could downgrade it to some other bitrate, but honestly, that hasn't ever been an issue for me. There's no subtitles and there's no chapters that I need to worry about with this one. So with this all set, the only thing left to do is to add where it will be saved. So I'll just click and I'll save it right in, and we'll do test, put test in front of it just to show. Okay, then I'm going to save it. And now I would just hit start encode. And as it begins, you'll see that the encoding pass is ticking up over here. It's showing how fast it's doing it. It's actually encoding it at 120, close to 120 frames per second. And it's showing me the time remaining and the elapsed time. And now because it's not a folder, it's just a single file I dropped in, there's no pending jobs. If I had wanted to add all of these files in there, I could drag the folder in and then it would queue up all of the transcodes. So I will just wait and skip forward to when this finishes encoding. Okay, super. So the queue has finished, which it was a queue of 1. So there's that. And let's look at the results here. We've got the test sitting there, and it was reduced by quite a chunk. We'll go into the properties. It went from 87 to 37. So, almost halving the size of the video, which is good, which is what we wanted. And really, the visuals probably aren't that much different. And for this case, it's just to have a sort of a proxy to use. And if I were to keep the file names the same as each, as the proxy and the original, then I would be able to use an EDL or edit decision list to synchronize later. So this is a higher level concept that when you use or have high res footage, but you want to edit with a lower res or a lower file size so that you can, so that your computer doesn't chug, you can do things like this transcoding in order to get the edit going. And then when you go to render out your final output, you can conform the edit with what's called an XML or EDL, which are documents, text documents, basically, that synchronize the edits or store the editing cuts and so forth from your software. But that's another discussion for another day. This was just a quick demo on how to use HandBrake. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions. All right.